So, hello everyone. This is a research project for the students, particularly for the graduation students in commerce, BBA, MBA, MCOM, particularly for commerce and management students. Also, it can be used by the social science researchers or the graduation and post-graduation students. So, in this research project, so many challenges are there to prepare. How it will be easy? My suggestion is when you think zero. So before you going to any project, your mind should be very stable to think about all these challenges. So to minimize the gap in the challenges, we have to go for research. Okay. So I am Dr. Sushil K PattanaikHOD, which is an academician and researcher as well, and train also on research projects. So this is my thought that students, those are in facing so many problems, particularly on topic. So on which topic we have to go for study, or which topic we have to select, so that it will be benefited to so many stakeholders. So first we have to think what is the relevancy to the societal problem or to the society in which way we have to make them benefited. Then number two beneficiary is your NGOs and government other organizations or non-government organizations. So in that level, also you think of all the other stakeholders like investors. So if you go for banking, then investors, account holders, depositors, loaning, and your in stock market, then investors, then mutual fund also the same case arise. So in different cases, in different study, different stakeholders are there, and we have to see the different stakeholders and what much benefit we can provide out of our research. So at the last, I can say the topic must be in your own thought, which can create your own identity for any micro level findings and suggestions. This is most important, micro level. Micro level suggestions should be there so that everybody will be benefited out of that. For next one is your when topics will be selected, then we go for research. Then our objective is to the who will be your beneficiary? The beneficiary are the stakeholders of the society. Next one is data. So in that data level also some challenge comes because there are two types. One is primary data and one is secondary data. In primary level, we can collect the data from person to person by telephonic, by emails, because a questionnaire you have to prepare, set of questions will be there, so that that question will be sent through emails, or you can ask personally, or you can ask through your mobiles or telephones. So when the primary data will be collected, then the next one is you have to interpret by your tools and technique. That is separate issue. But come to the secondary data, which you can get from your books, journals, newspapers, internets. These are the various sources from which you can collect the secondary data, which are totally published data. So when you go for a company data, when you go for the data of any concern, any entity, then everything is in internet, then you can collect it, or in books or journals or annual reports, everything you will get it. Okay, so in primary data, you see so many challenges comes. Challenges are many. Challenges are number one, you see here in primary level, That is your availability of data. Actually, the data will be available or not, you have to find out. So accordingly, you have to prepare your research. Then you have to decide about your sample size, your sample target area, and your target customer or investors, target unit. So these things you have to decide. So if it is not available, then you can go for research or you can collect the data in primary level. It will be very difficult for you. So what much of sample size? Sample size in statistical, so many tools are there you can use. But sample size in your level will be within restricted within 100 or 200 or maximum to 300. And in your MPhil stage, it can be 500. So that within that time structure, you can complete all this. Then target area, from which area you have to collect the data and what will be the data unit or the sample unit, who will be your, from where you have to collect all this data. So these are various things you have to decide before you go for a topic. Then if you secondary data, you collect all this data from the website, you see a website, then your journals, e-journals, government reports, annual reports, and all that formalities are there so that you can collect the data in the secondary level. If it is not available, then you should not go and the topic should be changed. So this case is also important for you. So the next one comes your preparing the questionnaire. So at the time of preparing the questionnaire, you see what thing you have to decide. The questionnaire, which consists of structured, logical and relevant questions for smart responses. This is most important. It's a questionnaire. You will prepare a questionnaire, so it is not logical. Suppose you are asking about his age. So I think age is a very crucial factor. So many people wants to avoid this type of question. So when you ask in which year you passed your graduation or in which year you passed your high school examination, your board examination. So from which you calculate, you may calculate all this age factor. So directly you should not ask this, but the group will be like this. So if the demographic factor will be this, so you see this slide, age group is there, occupation is there, and your gender is there, average income is there. Average income I used because a person have different types of income. So here you see average income. And then marital status, single and married also influence your factor. Then come to the education pattern, then domicile, urban, semi-urban. So like this you can categorize all this. Okay. So next one comes your questionnaire parts. So first part is your contents, your demographic part. Demographic part you calculate because of the entire world you see or in entire India, the states are the perceptional factors are different and the locality to locality is different. So domicile factor influence more in that calculation or measurement. So like this age factor is there, your gender factor is there, income factor is there. So many factors are there. So you have to compare either their perception is totally equal responses or of different responses. You can judge or you can calculate or you can measure from that. So in that case, you see when you prepare questionnaire should be in a 5-point scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is there. 1 is you see strongly agree and 2 strongly disagree. All these factors for point of scale are there, which is Likert scale. And you have to question set. You have to set your questions like this. Suppose performance and strategy of an education system. So I have set 6 questions here. So 6 questions will be asked in the scale of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is for strongly disagree and 1 for strongly agree. So accordingly, you have to word that. 1 means strongly agree. So on that question, that respondent have responded strongly agree on that. So this is the pattern of the questionnaire you have to prepare. So next is your, after the questionnaire preparation is over, after the data, you know the data will be available from the different markets and different units. Peoples are there, we can collect all this. Then we have to proceed for second things, literature review, either it is available or not on that aspect. Literature review is, you see, so many literatures you have to cover, either it will be covered from your Google, either you may cover from your journals, papers, newspapers, annual reports, everything you will get all this. But you have to present in such a way. You see, this is the way you have to present. So how you will present? This is the author in 2003. You see, concluded that. So this is the format of the. Then we have to prepare after 20-30 research. You have to present in your research projects 20 to 30. Minimum 20 you have to present in that. Then we have to go for research gap. So research gap, you see, research gap, one para should be writing in the mentioning gap. In that case, what you will do, you have covered all this research, but there is some gap. For that we are going to study on that aspect. Then you have to mention in one para. Then come to the reference part, and reference will be like this, and the style is like this. So you cover one by one. Okay. Then you see, second part is there. Then in that, you see, literature will be covered like this. Then second one is introduction chapter. Introduction chapter means the first chapter. What to introduce? You have to introduce on the topic, which will cover 5 to 6 pages. So in that 5 to 6 pages, that means within 1500 words or 2000 words, we have to complete it. Entire introduction about the company, about the bank, about tourism, whatever you take your or select your topic, then you have to introduce on the topic. What much? That should be within the 5 to 6 pages. Then come to the research problem. Why you think upon it, this research to take up? What are the causes? What are the gaps? We have to mention on that as a problem. Then come to the scope. What are the topics to include and can be explored in a scope? Or what you want to explore all these activities? So it should be within one page. What is the relevancy? Relevancy means how it is relevant to your societal problem or governmental problem or non-governmental problem, or whatever the outcome or the value will come up, that you have to decide in that, and you have to mention in the maximum to in one page. Then you have to make some conclusion on it. So these things you have to mention on the chapter 1. So next is methodology. Methodology, you see, what is that? This is the method or the tools to use in your research to solve in an optimal way or optimal value concept. So first I have written that innovative items, 0 stage. Think of what tools we have to use so that the result will be you will be very much confirmed about the results, what will come up. So this is very innovative thing you have done. Your topic is very innovative, so you have to use innovative tools. So before that, you have to fix your target customer. Who are the target customer and how the question will be set logically, and what is your objective, what is the questionnaire, what is the collection, and collection of data I mentioned, not by force but with a smile. So everybody should maintain a very congenial approach, very smiling face. You have to go to the respondents and you have to ask question. It should not be unforced. It should be come up with a very smiling face. So use of appropriate tools. It is most important in this methodology. So which tool you have to use? Tools means your statistical tools, from arithmetic mean to your correlation, regression. So in graduation level, PG level and MPhil level, that things are required. And what are the test result, and you have to interpret it. So this is the things, these are important. Then what are the tools that are appropriate to your study? You see the tools are here. One is frequency, average, graphs, cross-factor analysis, standard deviation, skewness, chi-square, t-test, z-test, distribution, ANOVA, correlation, regression, factor analysis, KMO, autocorrelation, trend analysis. So I think within that you can cover all these tools to make a use of it and to find the result. So what is the objective of the tools? The tools to linking for optimize outcomes or optimize value or a concrete findings. So these things will be based on your findings. So in which way you have to use your tool so that it will be easier to reach in your objective. Okay, then the objective, reach to that objective is the prime and most important factor. So if you are not having any objective, then you should not go for research. So every research should have an objective, but that objective should be limited because your time constraint. So like this, I have mentioned. Suppose I have to take one objective to analyze the factors influencing purchase behavior across the age groups. Across the age groups, that means within the age groups, I have made it, or I want to make a study. So that thing I have to mention. Okay. So then come to the hypothesis factor. Hypothesis, because it is a hypothetical, may happen or may not happen. So in that case, you have to, when you make your study, then you have to find out that there is no significant relationship across the age groups on purchase behavior. Suppose you are thinking that every age group similarly they behave, but in your study that you concluded your study that they are not similar but they are different. So your hypothesis will be rejected at that time. So your hypothesis may be accepted or it may be rejected. So for hypothetical things you have to take this hypothesis. But how you can go for chapter plan? You know everything, objective, hypothesis, introduction, literature review, everything you know, questionnaire. So this is your chapter scheme. Chapter 1 presents introduction. Chapter 2 highlights various research studies, which is particularly literature based, which will be covered from the different secondary sources. Chapter 3 is your express on elaborative study on conceptual framework. Suppose you have taken a bank study, you have to mention about the banking sector in India or banking sector across the globe or banking situation in the present context. Everything will be mentioned on that. Particularly, suppose you have to take in the State Bank of India. So on the State Bank of India, you have to mention all this. Okay. Then chapter 4, analyzing and interpreting the results. Whatever you collected from the primary level, you have to decode all this and you have to put it in Excel. Then you will get the result by using your tools and techniques. So you have to know what are the tools used and what is the use of that tools. So before using that, one thing is important, why use this tool and what is the importance of that tool in your research. So after that you have to go for that. Then chapter 5 is the last chapter, which contains your findings and suggestion. And you see, these are the various things you have to mention on that. Then how we can go for analysis and interpreting the results. You can go for analysis and interpreting the results by simply by using a graph. Graph, you know, it can be used. It can be used by use of your Excel in your computer. Then graph can be easily. You can prepare line chart or bar chart or bar chart. Every chart you will prepare on that. Okay. And then second one is cross factor or frequency. You can also apply. It is very easy. Frequency means numbers. You have to only mention on that. And other tools which are required to use as per your result and interpretation, you have to use it and interpret the result. The next one is your finding and suggestion, which is based on your findings. Then suppose the test result will be on ANOVA one way if you use. So in ANOVA, why used? Because of to differentiate the opinions. Either they are mostly similar or dissimilar. That can be, you can measure through your using of ANOVA. So you have to measure the three banks suppose are there. Here is public, private and NBFC. Three things are there here. And if you go for to study, either their activities are similar or not. In that case, we have to use ANOVA. So in this issue, ANOVA, the P result you have to see. What is the P result? That is the probability result. What is that? If the P result will be less than 0.05, then you will see that it will be significantly different. It will be significantly different. So that you can assess from that. If it is more than that, they are similar. So if it is here, that result is 0.001 means these three groups, these public, private and NBFC are different in their approach. So this is the analysis I have mentioned in interpreting the things like this way. So you will say from the slide. So next one comes how I prepare the graphs. You see, these are the various years I have mentioned here and the students I have mentioned here. So in here, you see, here, in the different the 5 years are there, and accordingly you have to prepare the graph by using your Excel sheet. So which is very easy. It is not that difficult. Everybody knows. Then graphically also you have to mention all this. Then come to the last chapter. Analysis is over. That fourth chapter. Then come to the last chapter, which contains your summary, findings, and suggestions. What are the things you have to mention there? Four parts are there. Number one is your summary part. Number two is findings part. Number three, suggestion part. And number four is your scope for further research. So four things are there. So you see in the bold letter I have mentioned one is summary part. So what it includes? All the summary part or the conclusion part of the different chapters will be placed here in a concluded form. In a minor changes will be there and you can present on that. And number two, findings. Findings can be, you can get all these results from the analysis part. Then from the table you have used, from the tools you have used, so what is the result? It can be written here. Hypothesis will be also tested here. Either it is accepted or it will be rejected. Then come to the your reference, come to your suggestion. What suggestion you can provide for your research, and which is based on your challenges. This is most important. Which is based on your challenges out of your research, from which you, from where you will get all this, you will get from your analysis. Out of that or on basis of that, you have to go for suggestion. Then limitation of the study also you can mention there, or you can mention in the last part. So no problem. Then most important is scope for further research. Scope for further research, which means any researcher will follow you, and what are the scopes you have to mention here, so that it will be much easier for other researchers. And the last phase of the research project will be your bibliography, from which books you have referred. That bibliography, the style will be like this. You see, and you just see, and accordingly you have to arrange all this. Name should be like this, and this part, and from which book and publisher and year of, you have to mention all this. This is the part of the bibliography. So I think I have covered all the aspects to prepare a project report. Now I think you can only succeed by your three aspects: believe yourself, be confident, and be more relevant or self-reliant. Okay, thank you all. Have a good day. Okay, thank you.